Ladies and gentlemen, when life breaks into pieces, most people panic. They scream, they blame, they collapse. But here's the truth. Those reactions are natural, not necessary. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is control, the rare ability to stop, think, and choose a response when everything around you screams for reaction. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about understanding that even when it's not, you are still in charge of your mind. Disasters will come, betrayals will cut deep, plans will fall apart. But remember, no storm lasts forever, and while it rages, your job is not to fight the storm, but to anchor yourself. Stay calm and you rise above the waves. Panic and you sink. Now ask yourself, what happens if I stay calm? You think clearer. You make wiser choices. You take back control from fear. Because fear has one enemy: it can't defeat a calm, focused mind. Every time you remain calm in the face of pressure, you build mental muscle. You become stronger, wiser, and more powerful than any chaos around you. So next time the world tries to break you, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask instead, "What can I learn from this?" Because inside every breakdown is a breakthrough waiting to be claimed. But only by those who are calm enough to find it. Stay calm. Not for the world, but for the version of you that's waiting on the other side of the storm. The powerful, unshakable, unbreakable you. Self-control is your greatest asset during chaos. This may sound simple, even obvious, but it is one of the most profound truths in the field of personal development and mental mastery. When the world around you begins to unravel, when your plans crumble, when people disappoint you, when life deals you the unexpected, it's easy to feel helpless. It's easy to believe that you have no control, that the situation is bigger than you. But this is where most people go wrong. The truth is, the external world will always be unpredictable. The internal world, however, belongs to you. And your greatest power in this internal world is your ability to control yourself when everything else seems out of control. Self-control is not about pretending that nothing affects you. It's not about suppressing your emotions or acting robotic. It's about mastering the ability to pause, to reflect before reacting. Most people are reactive. They respond to chaos with more chaos. They panic. They lash out. They make impulsive decisions. And as a result, they make their situation worse. But a person who has developed self-control knows how to remain calm, even when they are boiling inside. They know how to direct their energy wisely, how to breathe through the tension, and how to think beyond the emotion of the moment. In difficult times, the most valuable thing you can offer yourself is stillness. Not silence, not denial, but a composed mind that refuses to be shaken by the noise of the world. This type of self-mastery is rare, but it is also what separates those who lead from those who follow. Think about it. When everything is falling apart, who do people look to? Not the loudest person in the room, not the one pointing fingers or throwing tantrums. They look to the calmest presence, the one who appears steady, grounded, and focused. That person becomes a beacon of strength. You can become that person, but it begins with learning to stay calm. Not by accident, but by choice. You train for self-control like you train a muscle. Every situation where you feel pressure is an opportunity to grow it. When someone offends you and you don't retaliate, that's self-control. When your plans fall apart and you resist the urge to blame or complain, that's self-control. When fear creeps in and you choose to act with courage instead of shrinking, that's self-control. It is not an act of suppression, it's an act of discipline, and discipline is the foundation of power. Understand this: life does not reward those who react emotionally to every challenge. Life rewards those who can harness their emotions and direct them with purpose. And this doesn't just apply in personal matters. It applies in leadership, in business, in relationships, in every area of life. The most successful individuals are not the ones who never face problems. They are the ones who face problems without losing their composure. They understand that panic solves nothing, and clarity solves everything. And clarity only arrives when you are calm enough to see things as they are. This is why self-control is not only a defense mechanism, but a strategy. It gives you the advantage of time and perspective. When you don't react immediately, you give yourself space to think. And in that space, you find solutions that others miss. You gain the power to move with intention instead of impulse. You no longer live at the mercy of circumstances. You become the architect of your response. That is true power, not control over others, but control over yourself. So the next time chaos finds you, and it will, remember this: your first and most important job is not to fix everything instantly. Your job is to anchor yourself. Breathe. Focus. Remind yourself that you are still in command of your thoughts, your actions, your words. When the storm passes, and it always does, you will be left standing tall, with your integrity intact and your future still in your hands. That is the strength of self-control. That is the calm in the storm, and that is the kind of power no one can ever take from you. Circumstances don't define you, your response to them does. This truth, while simple in concept, carries life-changing weight. People often become consumed by what happens to them. They measure their worth by their current struggles, their financial condition, or the opinions of others. They let their identity be shaped by moments of failure, heartbreak, or adversity. But this mindset is not only disempowering, it's false. The real test of character is never the situation itself, it's how you choose to meet it. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Life will throw you curveballs, unexpected losses, unfair judgments, delays in progress. At times, it will seem like the world is working against you. But understand this, in every moment you still possess one priceless power, the power to choose your response. This is where transformation begins. Your reaction to difficulty will either enslave you or empower you. It will either trap you in a victim mindset or launch you into a state of growth. What separates the great from the average is not that the great have easier lives. It's that they train themselves to respond better. They take adversity and use it as fuel. They don't allow setbacks to determine their identity. They look at obstacles and ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" That subtle shift in thought turns pain into perspective. It changes confusion into clarity. And it puts you back in the driver's seat of your life. Consider this: two people can face the same problem, and yet their outcomes can be entirely different. One collapses under pressure while the other rises. Why? Because while both experienced the same event, they didn't respond the same way. One saw defeat, the other saw a lesson. One focused on what was lost, the other focused on what could still be gained. The event didn't define them, their mindset did. There's an important law of life: energy follows attention. What you focus on, you magnify. So, when challenges come, and they will, you must be intentional about where you direct your mind. If you dwell on what's wrong, you'll feel defeated. If you search for what you can control, you'll feel empowered. It's not about ignoring reality, it's about choosing which part of reality you want to influence. This mindset takes discipline. It takes practice. You must become the kind of person who pauses before reacting. You must become aware of the space between what happens and what you do next. That space is your freedom, and within that space lies the difference between growth and regret. When you react impulsively, you give away your power. But when you respond thoughtfully, you reclaim it. It's important to understand that your response doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need to know all the answers in the heat of the moment, but you do need to stand firm in the truth that your present situation is not your final destination. You are more than your environment. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than this moment. And no one, not life, not people, not fate, gets to decide your future without your permission. The ability to respond with clarity, strength, and purpose is not some mystical gift. It's a skill you build by choosing awareness over reaction, by practicing patience instead of panic. When you start shaping your responses, you start shaping your life. You no longer live in defense of your circumstances. You live in alignment with your vision. Remember, you were not born to be controlled by what happens around you. You were born to master what happens within you. Life is constantly asking, who are you when things go wrong? Your answer to that question, not in words but in action, will become the foundation of your character. Let that answer be powerful. Let it be resilient. Let it be the beginning of your next breakthrough. Because in the end, your future won't be written by the events you faced, but by how you chose to rise above them. Every crisis contains the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. This idea is not some feel-good phrase. It's a principle rooted in truth, proven over and over again by those who have turned failure into fortune, loss into leadership, and adversity into advancement. At first glance, a crisis appears to be nothing more than destruction. It tears down comfort, disrupts plans, and brings chaos into areas of life we once considered stable. But if you train your mind to look deeper, to search beyond the initial pain, you'll discover something remarkable hidden in the ruins: potential. Life is structured in such a way that every difficulty carries with it a lesson, a new perspective, or an opening that you couldn't have seen without the disruption. The problem is, most people never find the opportunity in crisis because they stop searching the moment it hurts. They get stuck in the emotion of the event. They feel fear, and instead of moving forward, they freeze. They feel pain, and instead of growing from it, they retreat. They see the crisis as a wall, not realizing that it might be a doorway. The greatest transformations in life often begin with discomfort. Growth rarely happens in comfort zones. Crisis has a way of shaking things up, stripping away distractions, and forcing you to face yourself, your values, and your direction. It challenges you to ask hard questions. Who am I without this job? What truly matters now that things have fallen apart? What new direction am I being pushed toward? These questions are not setbacks, they are invitations, calls to rise to a higher version of yourself. Think about every major advancement in human history, new inventions, medical breakthroughs, philosophical ideas, revolutions. Most of them were born during times of crisis. Pressure forces people to dig deeper, to innovate, to create what didn't exist before. It's the same on a personal level. When life is easy, there's little incentive to change. But when you're faced with a storm, you either build a shelter or you become the storm's victim. The choice is yours, and the opportunity is always there, hidden inside the challenge. This isn't to say that you must enjoy your crisis. Pain is real, loss is real, but so is resilience. And once you accept that hardship is part of the process, you begin to look at it differently. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? The moment you ask what now, you reclaim your creative power. That's when your mind opens to possibilities. That's when the seed of opportunity begins to grow. But it doesn't grow on its own. You must nurture it. You must water it with discipline, effort, and vision. It may begin as just a thought, a small shift in awareness. But if you protect it, it will turn into something real. Maybe a new path, a new skill, a new understanding of your own strength. The opportunity inside a crisis is never handed to you. It's revealed to those who keep moving forward when everything says stop. You may not see it immediately. Most people don't. The beginning of a crisis often looks like darkness. But sometimes that darkness is simply preparation for clarity. Think of it like a seed being buried in the soil. It's hidden, silent, surrounded by pressure. Yet it's not dead. It's preparing to grow. Your crisis is the soil. The opportunity is the seed. Your faith, action, and perspective are the sunlight and water. The key is not to avoid hardship, but to develop the eyes to see what it can offer you. Every time life breaks you down, it is also building something in you: mental strength, emotional wisdom, strategic thinking, or a deeper connection to purpose. If you ignore that, you miss the gift entirely. But if you embrace it, you'll find that what felt like an ending was actually the beginning of something far more valuable. So when life tests you, and it will, don't just look at what's gone. Look for what's possible. Dig through the rubble until you find the seed. And once you find it, don't let it go. Grow it, shape it, use it. Because the opportunity is always there, quietly waiting to be claimed by those strong enough, aware enough, and bold enough to look for it. Inner calm is not the absence of chaos. It is your control over it. Most people misunderstand what it means to be calm in the middle of crisis. They think it means having no fear, no confusion, or no doubt. But true calm doesn't mean you're untouched by the storm. It means you've trained your mind not to be ruled by it. The outside world will always be unpredictable. Circumstances will rise and fall. People will disappoint you. Plans will change. But none of these things can control your inner world unless you give them permission. This ability to remain grounded while everything else is shaking is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build, piece by piece, through discipline, awareness, and intentional practice. The calm you carry within you is not a reaction to life. It is a decision. And like every decision, it gets stronger the more you choose it. Your mind is like a muscle. The more you feed it thoughts of panic, fear, and defeat, the weaker it becomes. But the more you feed it focus, stability, and resilience, the stronger it grows. When you choose calmness, you're not denying reality. You're creating space to respond wisely to it. You are choosing clarity over confusion, strength over reaction. That doesn't mean you don't feel pressure or emotion. It means you don't allow them to drive your actions without conscious control. In moments of crisis, most people respond automatically. They react without thinking. They allow their fears, frustrations, or external circumstances to dictate their behavior. But the few who have trained their minds stay centered, and that center becomes their power. They pause before they speak. They breathe before they act. And in that pause, they make decisions that shape their future. Decisions not driven by fear, but guided by vision. Training your mind to remain calm begins with awareness. You must be aware of the triggers that throw you off balance. It could be failure, uncertainty, criticism, or chaos. When those triggers appear, you have a choice to react as you always have or to interrupt the pattern. Each time you choose to stay calm, even in a small way, you're strengthening your mental control. You are wiring your brain to think before reacting, to respond with intention rather than impulse. Silence and stillness are powerful allies in this process. Taking time to be alone with your thoughts, without distractions, allows your mind to reset and refocus. It helps you separate what you can control from what you cannot, and once you identify what's within your control, you shift your energy there. That shift is where calmness begins, not from changing the situation, but from changing your relationship to it. When everything around you is loud, the person who remains quiet holds the advantage. When the world is chaotic, the one who stays calm becomes the anchor for others. This kind of inner strength is not just for your benefit. It influences everyone around you. In a room full of panic, the calm person leads. In a crisis, people follow the one who can think clearly, speak calmly, and act decisively. But don't confuse calmness with passivity. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right thing at the right time with a steady mind. Calm people are not weak. They are powerful, because while others waste energy in panic, they conserve it for purposeful action. While others drown in emotion, they stand firm in reason. Their strength lies not in noise, but in control. Every time life gives you chaos, you have an opportunity to practice this power. Instead of asking, how do I survive this? Ask, how do I respond to this? That simple shift takes you from being a victim of your situation to being the master of it. And the more you live from that place, the more unshakable you become. True calm is a declaration. It tells the world, you may shake the ground beneath me, but I will not fall into fear. It reminds you that peace is not something to chase. It's something you create, moment by moment, thought by thought. And once you create it within yourself, no external storm can take it away. When everything falls apart, your first instinct might be to scream, to panic, or to retreat. But there is a deeper power waiting inside you, one that few ever tap into. Your ability to respond with discipline. Discipline is the bridge between chaos and control. It's not about suppressing emotion. It's about guiding it. It's not about denying pain. It's about using that pain as fuel to push forward with purpose. When the world turns upside down, discipline becomes your foundation. Without it, you become a victim of circumstances. With it, you become the architect of your own comeback. In life, you cannot control the wind, but you can always adjust the sails. That adjustment is discipline. It's the part of you that says, I won't let this break me. I will rise even if I have to crawl. You see, discipline doesn't wait for motivation. It shows up even when the mind is tired, when the heart is heavy, and when the future looks uncertain. It's the habit of doing what needs to be done, whether or not you feel like doing it. Emotions can be wild and unpredictable, especially when you're in crisis. You might feel anger, sorrow, doubt, or fear, all natural responses. But if you allow those emotions to steer your ship, you'll crash into regret. Discipline allows you to feel the storm but still stay on course. It says, yes, I am hurting, but I will not let this hurt define me. I will keep showing up. I will keep pushing forward. That is the kind of inner strength that builds unstoppable individuals. Think of every champion, every great leader, every person who overcame impossible odds. Behind their victory, you will find a trail of disciplined choices. They didn't always feel strong, but they acted strong. They didn't always have answers, but they kept asking the right questions. They built habits that protected them from their own weakness. Discipline gave them structure when the world offered only disorder. The most dangerous thing you can do in the middle of hardship is abandon your routine. That's when everything starts to slip. Your health, your focus, your mindset. The crisis tries to convince you that nothing matters anymore, so why try? But that's the exact moment when discipline matters most. It's your refusal to fold. It's your decision to keep your promises to yourself, even when no one's watching. That kind of consistency builds confidence. It rewires your identity from someone who reacts to someone who responds with power. Discipline isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to get up on time, to finish what you started, to eat clean when you want comfort food, to study when you'd rather escape, to keep walking when every part of you wants to sit down and give up. These small victories add up, and before you know it, you've built a wall of strength no storm can tear down. It's important to understand that discipline is not perfection. You will stumble. You will have days where the storm gets to you. But the disciplined mind doesn't stay down. It gets back up, analyzes the fall, and adjusts. It doesn't beat itself up. It builds itself up. It treats every setback as part of the training process. The disciplined individual knows that mastery over life begins with mastery over self. When you train yourself to respond with discipline during tough times, you become dangerous in the best way. You become unshakable, dependable, and focused in a world that often rewards reaction over reflection. And while others waste energy blaming, complaining, or quitting, you build, you rise, you move with purpose. Remember this, chaos will visit all of us. Pain will knock on every door. But the ones who walk through the fire and come out stronger are the ones who chose discipline over despair. So, when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, hold the line. Discipline yourself to act with intention, to stay focused on your values, and to move with courage even in the face of confusion. Because in the end, it won't be the storm that defines you. It will be the way you stood through it. Every moment of adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. But most people are so focused on the pain, on the loss, and on what went wrong that they completely miss the lesson. They miss the hidden value buried beneath the surface. When everything falls apart, it may feel like the end, but what if it's the beginning? What if the breakdown is simply a disguise for the breakthrough? You see, pain is often the delivery system for wisdom. Hardship doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to instruct you. But to receive the lesson, you must be willing to look deeper, to ask questions, and to see beyond the surface chaos. The reason most people keep repeating the same mistakes in life is because they don't pause long enough to ask themselves what the struggle came to teach them. They are too quick to blame others or to blame the world, and in doing so they give up their power. But the person who stops to reflect, who digs into the discomfort and demands to find the lesson, that person grows. That person evolves. That person becomes stronger than the problem they faced. Life has a way of humbling all of us. You may lose what you once thought was secure. People may walk away. Projects may fail. Your plans may completely unravel. But none of those things define you. What defines you is how you interpret the experience. You can choose to become bitter, or you can choose to become better. And the difference between the two is whether or not you choose to extract meaning from the pain. Growth rarely comes wrapped in comfort. The soil of personal greatness is often soaked in difficulty, and those who understand this begin to see struggle not as punishment, but as preparation. They stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead ask, "What is this trying to show me?" That shift in mindset is where power begins, because when you take ownership of the lesson, you take ownership of your life. Sometimes the lesson is to slow down, to pay attention to the things you've been ignoring. Sometimes it's to develop a part of yourself you've been neglecting, like patience, humility, or courage. Other times, the lesson is a wake-up call that you've been walking the wrong path, and life had to shake you up just to reroute you. It doesn't always feel good in the moment. Growth rarely does. But when the dust settles and you look back, you'll see that the struggle made you more focused, more resilient, and more capable than you ever would have become in comfort. There is no wasted pain unless you choose to waste it. Every tear, every disappointment, every late night where you questioned everything, it all has value. But you must claim that value. You must squeeze the lesson out of every loss, because the future version of you, the stronger, wiser, more grounded you, is built on these moments. You are not just surviving the chaos, you are being shaped by it. You are being trained for something greater. But that training only completes itself if you learn. If you continue through life without reflection, you will repeat cycles instead of breaking them. But if you begin to ask better questions, the answers will change your entire direction. What can I learn here? What part of me needs to evolve? What strength is being built right now? These are the questions that transform pain into purpose. These are the questions that turn you from a victim of life into a master of it. And remember, the bigger the challenge, the deeper the lesson. The more intense the struggle, the more powerful the transformation. So don't resent the pain, study it. Don't run from the struggle, face it with awareness. You may not see it now, But someday you will look back and thank these moments for shaping your character, refining your focus, and waking you up to your potential. The most successful people in the world were once in the exact position you're in. Confused, defeated, and on the edge of giving up. But what they did differently was simple. They chose to learn. They saw pain as a teacher, not a curse. And they used the knowledge they gained to rise above the very thing that tried to break them. That power is in you too. All you have to do is pay attention, extract the lesson, and keep moving forward, wiser than you were before.